fellow gamers. I am your host, Brent Justice. Welcome to my gaming channel, Justice Gaming. I am in the game Star Trek Online, and this is my review of the Edison Temporal Warship Tier 6 starship in Star Trek Online. This is a Discovery-esque ship made to be, well, more futuristic. The first thing we're going to do is let's take a look at this ship up close. And as you can see here, it's got a retro design because it is based on a Discovery era ship. It is basically an updated Tier 6 ship for the 25th century, but based on that older Discovery era design language. Now, quite interesting on this is the deflector dish. If you'll check this out, it has a translucent deflector dish kind of thing going on here. Not quite sure exactly what that is or why it has that or what that means. I've never quite seen a deflector dish designed like that before. Is it some kind of shielding? I don't know. But it is definitely unique looking and gives the ship a unique view from the deflector sides of things. The warp engines are very interestingly flat. They're long and flat, as you can see. The ship also connects to the bottom part here quite interestingly. It is separated through here, as you can see, and then it's like the warp part of it and the saucer part of it are just smashed together. It's a very interesting design. It makes the warp nacelles very close to the primary hull, the saucer part of it, which is, I guess, okay, and it makes it a very compact ship. Makes it kind of a mid-sized ship. When we look at the size comparison, you'll see that it's kind of a mid-sized ship. It's not exactly large, but it's not small either. It is mid-sized, I would say. Yeah, it has an interesting design language, and because of the way it's shaped, it is more of a tactically inclined ship and more of the kind of ship that maneuvers very well and very quickly and very fast. Let's do some maneuvers and I'll show you how that works. So for example, I can turn on this ship almost on a dime. I mean, it's basically turning within itself, within the same like area. It's just that's a very tight turn rate. Now this is of course due to my build and the setup I have going on. I mean, you could just as easily have a very slower turning ship if you didn't have specific things. I have the pilot specialization, which helps with that. But it is a quick turning and fast maneuvering ship by default anyway. And as we fly it here, you can kind of get some better angles and views on it as we come around. We'll look at it straight on. It's got a very, very sleek and slim design, but the maneuverability of it is really where this thing shines. It's very compact in that way. It's easy to play in the game. It's easy to maneuver where you want to get it to and what you want to do. Let me zoom out all the way, and this is a full zoom out of the ship. So this is what it looks like zoomed out. It looks kind of tiny, but there are smaller ships. It is not the smallest, and it's also not large, but it is, like I said, mid-range. Now let me zoom in all the way. When you zoom in all the way, it kind of takes up the entire screen, which tells you it's not a small ship. It's a little bit bigger, because smaller ships don't necessarily fill the whole screen like that. As we come closer to some other players in the game here, we'll do some size comparisons. Here's a good ship to compare its size to. You can see it kind of has the same whole like primary saucer section. I mean, look at that. It's pretty big when you even compared to a ship like this, which is a big ship. Looks pretty big, but let's look at some other people here and see what ships are flying around and compare sizes. I'd like to find a Galaxy class if I can. Oh, there's a Galaxy class actually right there. It's a Galaxy X. Let's take a look at that, because when I was looking at it earlier, it's almost got a hull, or not a hull, but a saucer that's almost as big as the Galaxy. Look at that. So the saucer part of this fits. I mean, the Galaxy is definitely bigger, but not by a large amount. I would say that this is, you know, it's obviously smaller than a Galaxy class, but it's not a small ship by any means. It makes it a very maneuverable and like I said, easy starship in the game to play. I have found it to be extremely maneuverable, agile, and a lot of fun to play with, honestly, because you can really maneuver it well. And as you can see, I can just really fly around all the little places I need to. And that's really neat. And it does look good with the flat warp nacelles and kind of the flat struts that are not angled too much. They're angled upright just enough to give it that Star Trek feel, but they are underneath the saucer. And it would be interesting if they were above the saucer. That could be an interesting little visual for it, but no, they are under the saucer. I am now in the customized starship option for the Edison Temporal Warship. And as you can see here, you have the Edison template or a Hoover template. So the Edison template here is default on this ship and has a type 7A material, which is the default. It uses an Aquarius interior bridge, so it does not have its own unique bridge. It shares the Aquarius bridge. But if we go over to Hoover, this is what the Hoover looks like. So this is the Discovery era style ship of this class, I guess. This is what you would find in the Discovery era. This is what it would look like. So that also has a very unique look to it. This one has more of a raised saucer section off of the warp drive sled, let's call it. And of course the Discovery warp nacelles here. So this is basically what the Discovery version of it looks like, and you can use either template, but the Edison is the, let's say, newer version of it, and it definitely squishes it, compacts it, and it makes it look a lot newer. I like this visual language a lot better than I did the Hoover. The Edison template definitely looks better on it, but you could have different skins depending, of course, on what you have. There's the type 7, which just has darker tones to it, more contrast there. Again, 7A is the default. Honestly, I like 7A. I think that fits it best. But you could, if you had other materials, you know, you could try other materials on it, even Discovery looking materials and so forth, to make it look like something more from that era, but with a newer design. Just depends what you have available to you. But these are what some of the textures on it would look like. And here is the Edison Temporal Warship Tier 6 in the Zen store. It says this ship is also part of the 4-ship cross-faction Temporal Warship bundle at a discount. This ship can be equipped upon completion of the tutorial, and its performance will improve throughout your leveling experience. So because this is a Tier 6 starship, it will level with you, so you can get it at the beginning of the game and let it scale up with you. It says, the Edison Temporal Warship represents the next step forward in Allied ship design. Threats to the galaxy continue to amass, demanding ever-vigilant answers. The Edison class is Starfleet's answer to these threats, an update of a more tactically minded vessel from Starfleet's past. The Edison is ready with superior firepower to stave off any threats to Starfleet or those that are sworn to protect. The Edison Temporal Warship T6 comes equipped with the Entangled Quantum Bombardment Universal Console. When you activate this console, your ship will launch quantum-laced projectiles at foes in front of you for several seconds. These projectiles entangle their quantum signature with particles inside of your foe's shields, allowing them to bypass shielding entirely and explode in a large area with each impact. This console also provides a passive boost to phaser, polaron, or plasma energy weapon damage based on your faction and starship exotic particle generators. This console may be equipped on any console slot on any starship. You may only equip one of these consoles. After achieving level 5 in the Edison Temporal Warship Starship Mastery, you will unlock one of the following starship traits based on your faction: Heart of Soul, Pride of Molrihan, or Persistence of the Founders. And for me, it's Heart of Soul because I'm doing this on the Federation side. While this trait is slotted, activating Attack Pattern Beta or any Temporal Operative Buff ability will gain a boost to energy weapon haste and one of phaser, polaron, or plasma weapon damage based on the trait unlocked for a short duration. Temporal starships are capable of making subtle alterations on the molecular level through the use of molecular reconstruction. This technology allows a starship to assume one of 3 different configurations: defensive, offensive, and support. Each configuration has their own strengths and weaknesses. Each of the configurations generate their own specific counter. Up to 6 counters can be generated at a time. These counters are used to fuel the molecular deconstruction beam. So, as like all temporal ships do, they have these different configurations you can put them into. One is the defensive configuration. While it's active, it provides a boost to shield power and incoming hull healing. It comes at a cost of a reduction of flight speed and turn rate. When you have the offensive configuration, you gain a boost to maximum engine power, speed, and turn. So an already maneuverable ship like this can be even better in those areas. This comes at a cost of a small reduction of incoming hull healing, so there's that. You've got the support configuration. While that's active, it will provide a boost to the auxiliary power and control strength and exotic damage, but it comes at a cost of a small reduction of energy weapon damage. And then the molecular deconstruction beam, after you get all 6 counters, it will allow you to fire off this beam, which does physical damage over time, disables the target, and in addition, it heals your hull over time. This power's damage scales with the number of counters that you've consumed. So if you have all 6 and you've consumed all of them, boom, a lot of power on that molecular deconstruction beam. So think of that as another weapon slot. That's like another weapon. However, you have to charge it up to get to a point where you can fire it. So that's cool though, because it gives you another weapon for the ship. Hull modifier is 0.9, shield modifier is 1.15, 4 weapons is 5, aft weapons is 3 device slots. It has a lieutenant tactical / temporal operative slot, a commander tactical / temporal operative, a lieutenant engineering, a lieutenant commander science, and a lieutenant universal. So this is a temporal ship, so it has that it has temporal operative bridge officer seating for those temporal operative powers. You have 5 tactical consoles, 3 science, 2 engineering, and a base turn rate of 14, impulse modifier of 0.2, inertia 55. So you can see this is more tactically inclined with more tactical consoles. It also has +10 to weapons power and +5 to engine and +5 to auxiliary, because remember, the quantum bombardment is a one of those auxiliary powered things where exotic particle damage will benefit. It has the entangled quantum bombardment. It has the molecular reconstruction. It can have dual cannons, of course. It can have the it uses the warship ability package, which has precise weapon systems, enhanced weapon banks, devastating weaponry, enhanced weapon systems, and the Heart of Soul trait. And here are what the bridge officer stations on this starship look like. As you can see, we have our two temporal seatings here for tactical. that we can have, all the way up to a tier 3 powers, commander level powers on tactical. And of course we have our lieutenant seatings and lieutenant commander seatings, and this one is a universal. And then you got science and engineering, and that's how the seating arrangement looks. When we go to the ship itself here, you will see what the console looks like. We've got 5 tactical console slots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so you can max it out. Got 3 science, 2 engineering, so it does not have a lot in engineering. 3 aft, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 weapons. So this is a very powerful ship. In terms of Starship Mastery unlocks, the first one is plus 5% accuracy. The second one is plus 15% critical severity. The third one is plus 2.5% critical chance. Fourth is plus 10% kinetic damage, plus 10% energy damage. And then finally, the Heart of Soul. This is the special mastery for this ship. It enables with the beta or temporal operative buff ability. It has a 10% firing cycle haste for energy weapons for 20 seconds, and then a plus 5% bonus phaser damage. Because I'm on the Federation side, the Heart of Soul does phaser energy weapon damage buff with Heart of Soul. On the other ones, if you have the Molrihan or the other one, that's going to be either Polaron or Plasma. So those vary based on what faction you have the ship on. So if you really want to take advantage of the ability, the Starship Mastery ability here, to the best of its ability, you want to equip an energy type that matches that. So for the Federation here, I would want to use phaser energy weapons on the ship if I wanted to benefit from Heart of Soul the most. Now that's not what I have in my current build. However, that's what you would want to do if you wanted to benefit from that. That's what it supports. It does support an upgrade slot. You can upgrade it to the Tier 6X version, which will enhance it even more, give it more console slot, and that sort of thing. So it is capable to do that. I do not have it upgraded to that currently, but it can be. Now, as we go into combat here soon, just so you quickly can see what I'm running on my ship, I am using quad cannons, dual heavy cannons, I should say. I've got like 4 of them, so I have quad cannons in that sense. I've got dual heavy cannons. These are Delphic anti-protons that I am using, so it is not going to be the phaser energy damage that would benefit from the Heart of Soul, but that's okay. It's still a very powerful build. As you can see, 4 dual cannons up front, 3 turrets in the back, and I am using the Iconian Resistance reputation gear. So I have all of the Iconian Resistance gear on here. Now, this is the special console that comes with the ship. It's the Entangled Quantum Bombardment. So it does provide a plus 21.4 Starship Exotical Particle Generator buff, just by default having it on the ship. So while this is a tactically inclined ship, it does have that auxiliary buff or power that it can benefit this. So if you put a little bit into auxiliary, you would have a better Entangled Quantum Bombardment going on here. But we'll look at the specs when we get into space so we can see what the actual numbers are on that. But that's the console. That's what it looks like, and that is what is on the ship. We are now in space on our Edison Temporal Warship Tier 6. Now, of course, depending on the build that you have, your stats will be different than mine. You can configure the ship in many ways. There's a lot of flexibility here, so we are going to have very different build types. I will not say that mine is the best, and I will not say that it's the most efficient. It is simply set up for me right now as a way to demonstrate the ship's abilities, and that's pretty much it. It is, however, pretty powerful in my playthrough. I have found I am able to take down enemies very quickly. I am doing a lot of DPS with this ship, so I do know that. And also, you can die very easily in the ship. You got to be careful with that. You have to balance that well because it is a bit of a glass cannon. So just be careful there when you're configuring it. But just so that you see where my power levels are and everything, 125, 92, 71, 59 is where I'm at here. Let's go and look at the stats here. So I have a hull of 60,000. That is not a very high hull, but it is, like I said, more of a DPS ship for me. I have 14,483 on shield. My hull repair rate is 115.3% a minute. My resists are about 25% mostly. And then my accuracy rating is 33. My critical chance is 17.6, and my critical severity is 111%. Again, I'm getting those hard critical severity hits. If we go to impulse, my turn rate is a whopping 39 degrees a second. So as you can see, the ship definitely turns well. Okay, and now we'll look at the DPS that my weapons are outputting. This one's a little lower than the others because I don't have it upgraded yet. But these dual heavy Delphics are putting out, as you can see, 25, 26 DPS, 31, 58 anti-proton. And same thing on this one. It's a little bit different. I think the modifiers might be a little different on these. 2308 DPS, 2885 anti-proton. My turrets are putting out 1216 DPS. They should all be the same. 1013 anti-proton. And then my torpedo is doing 9503 kinetic damage, 1187 DPS. Just so you know what is going on with the ship. Okay, now we will hover over the bombardment here, and as you can see, it's giving me plus 15% phaser directed energy weapon damage, but I'm not using any phasers, so that's just not going to be benefiting me at all. I am, however, getting the plus 21.4 Starship Exotic Particle Generator boost from that. And then here's the damage it's doing. It's doing 1,125 radiation damage. 3-kilometer radius, ignores shields, bombards random foes in a 4 arc, 16 times in 8 seconds. So within 8 seconds, it will bombard 16 times. So that's a lot. It does have a 2-minute recharge time. Okay, so now I'm going to activate the Heart of Souls, so you see what that does. I'm going to activate that by using my attack pattern beta. And when I do that, what you will see is an icon come up here that has the Heart of Soul, and you'll kind of see me all buffed out. That basically means I'm going to have more weapon haste. Now, it's not going to do any phaser damage for me because I'm not using phasers, but I will get the haste still. So here it goes, enabled. There it is. Here it is, Heart of Soul. Pretty much now it's active, so if I were to fire the ship, this is kind of what it looks like. If I were to fire the ship, I would be getting that extra haste. Pretty much the only way to show you that is in combat. But that's how I'm going to activate it to show you how that works. Here's the bombardment. I cannot activate this obviously until I'm in combat, and then I can show you how the bombardment looks. Those are basically the two biggest features of this ship. That's what comes with the ship. And then because it's a temporal ship, here's the molecular deconstruction beam. So this is a scaling physical damage over time, heals hull and disables ships. Targets the foe. Foe is 4682 physical damage, 4682. Actually, it's going down now because I was buffed for a second there. So there it is, 4,594 physical damage per second. For 5 seconds, it ignores shields. And then it gives me a 2,000 hull healed per second for 5 seconds. And then it disables the foe for 3 seconds. Now, in order to make this work and fire this off, you have to build these counters all the way up. To do that, you have to put it in one of these modes. Here's the offensive configuration, which is plus max engine power, turn, and flight speed, and less incoming hull healing. And the defensive one is max shield power, incoming hull healing, but less turn and flight. It's flight speed. And then support configuration is more aux power and exotic damage and control strength, but less weapon damage. Because I like to just put out more maneuverability on a ship, I usually go for the offensive configuration. Because if I do this one, I lose some of that maneuverability. So that's probably the one I'm going to hit. Although I guess if I did support configuration, I would do more damage with the quantum bombardment, but I would lose weapon damage, and I don't want to lose weapon damage. So I'll probably enable the offensive configuration and let the counters build up, and then I'll show you the kind of damage that the molecular deconstruction beam can do. And so now we're going to go into combat and test these features out. I am now at the Karaya system. I am going to go into this and demonstrate the abilities of this ship. First, I'm going to do that by firing the weapons without the haste, without the Heart of Soul. In that way, you can see how they normally fire and the rate that they fire. And then I will hit Heart of Soul, and you can see what they fire like with extra haste. Then, in addition, I will hit the offensive configuration as soon as I go in and start firing. That way I build up the counter for the molecular deconstruction beam, and we will fire that off at one of the Mogai ships. Also, I will use the bombardment, especially when there are a lot of ships on the screen, because it works best when there's multiple ships. You have a high number of ships after you. That's where the bombardment really comes in handy, although it can work just as well on a single target. It's multiple targets where it shines. So let's go into it, and we will get this done. Nice, beautiful ship as it flies in. I'm going to hit the offensive configuration, and let's first fire on the Dideridex. Actually, let's fire on the Mogai with no haste. Nothing buffed at all either. You can see how there's pauses between each cycle that it's firing. But you can see also I'm doing quite a bit of damage. I didn't even need to buff. I didn't do emergency power to weapons or anything. And I'm still doing quite a lot of damage. Now here's haste. It basically has a higher firing cycle. Actually, I need more enemies. Ran out of enemies to fire on. Remember, it's only a 10% haste increase, so it's not gigantic, right? But it's enough to make a difference. My molecular deconstruction beam is warming up. Okay, it's ready to go. Let's fire. And look how much damage it's doing. Remember, it's a damage over time. You can see it doing its thing. And that did quite a bit of damage, again, without buffing anything. I could buff my abilities, which would make it even more powerful, obviously. But now let's do that. Let's buff my abilities a little bit. And especially when we add in the rapid fire on this ship, yeah, pretty awesome. Again, just have to watch your hull strength because that can go down pretty fast. Again, there's more things I can buff, like attack pattern alpha and so forth. Right now, I don't want to buff a whole lot because I just want to show you the abilities on their own. But I will do a run where I do show all the abilities going off. Because when you buff all the abilities and you do everything at once, this ship just really takes off, goes nuts. Okay, let's do the bombardment on these ships here. You can see it going off there. That's what it looks like, friends. It does quite a bit of damage, especially if you have a lot of enemies. Molecular deconstruction beam is ready again. Did a lot of damage there. And we'll do the haste one more time. Oh, looks like I didn't get all the ships. There's still one ship or something out there. Where's this last remaining ship? Ah, there it is. A little scorpion fighter. So that pretty much shows off its abilities, but I will do it once more time. I will go into Japori real quick, and we will do a quick run in Japori. And on this one, I will go all out. I will buff everything and just give it all she's got, so you can kind of see what it looks like when all things are firing. Alright, I am entering Japori, and I'm just going to give this thing everything she's got, so sit back and relax and enjoy the ride as we just go ham. I mean, it's just no problem at all. Got quite a bit of maneuvering speed. I just love flying around in circles. Alright, and, I forgot to turn that on. I have other things to buff too. Check all these things out I got. I mean, it's just a waste on these small ships, honestly. Alright, and we'll use the bombardment on this last group. So, as I have found, this ship is pretty powerful and does quite a bit of damage. I am very happy with playing and using this ship. I think it looks good. I think it really has a good look. It's still got the Star Trek look to it, even though I know it came from the Discovery era. It's a good looking ship. It's a powerful ship. It maneuvers really well. It does a lot of damage. There's a lot of flexibility in how you can make this ship. This could be a ship that I would see myself keeping and using long term. It just does a lot of damage, and it's the kind of maneuverability on a ship that I like. So thank you all for watching this video. If you like what you see here, consider subscribing and giving the video a like. And for now, just sit back and let me show you a montage of the ship in action.